So good morning everybody, or at least it's morning for me. And as you can see, my hair is combed and I'm all dressed up. I am not feeling too comfortable about being all dressed up. Me dressing up is basically the equivalent of putting a suit on a donkey. I do not like to dress up, but I do so when the occasion calls for it. So like when all those times I ran for public office, I had to wear suits. So today, something important is happening, and I have to rush out of here shortly to do some very important business. We are finally, after months and months of negotiations, signing the intent to purchase agreement. This way my company can purchase part of another company. And we've been going back and forth for a while and trying to get this language of this agreement in such a way that all parties can agree. So I feel like if I can get this signed and notarized, then we will be able to close this deal very easy. Well, easier. Buying buying part of a company or the whole company is never easy. It's never simple. I've been down this road before, done this before. It's always negotiations, but I feel like the intent to purchase agreement is always more difficult. So I'm all dressed up. I got my nice shirt on, I got slacks on, I'm gonna put on my dress shoes in a few minutes, and I got this nice leather jacket, which my ex left when we broke up, and this actually happens to be the leather jacket that me and my ex had a huge argument about because he dropped $1,000 for this stupid ass jacket. And then he left it when we separated. So it's part of my dress up attire whenever it's important things that I need to do. But I don't really like leather jackets. They bother me because every time you move they crease and they creak and it's like a creaking floor. It's horrible. But I know that non-autistic people think that leather jackets make you look good. So, and since this is a dress-up leather jacket where it's reversible and then it's tan on the inside but it's completely reversible, I figured it would look nice with the dress shirt, and then that way I don't have to put on a full monkey suit, a regular suit, like suit jacket and tie and everything. So by wearing this, I can get away without having to wear a whole suit jacket and tie and stuff. Because like I said, me wearing dress clothes is like putting a donkey in a suit. It is horrible. So this is very exciting. If we can close this deal, then that means that my business will be twice its current size, and we will be bringing in about 40%, 50% more revenues. But that means I've also got more labor and more other operations expenses and more equipment maintaining and all of those things that come with running a landscaping and lawn service business. And I finally started doing jobs again. I'm doing light duty work, like mowing and pulling weeds and doing light things, and not really doing anything major yet, but I have returned to my normal type of activities. So that is good. So I'm very excited. In the last several years, we have negotiated with 4 other companies to potentially buy their company. And all those deals fell through for one reason or another. one company was doing all kinds of illegal activities, and we found that out in the discovery process, and so we decided to back off from that. And two other companies were way too large of an acquisition, and we felt that it was been too difficult, and it wasn't really the right size acquisition at the right time. So we passed on those. And then there was another company that was seemed to be very, very perfect in its size and in how they did business. However, he had very little documentation. He wasn't very good about keeping proper documentation, and he really didn't want to be too forthcoming with the type of documentation we asked for. And so we decided to move on from that one and not buy that one, because he wasn't willing to give necessary information to sell his business. And that's the thing that people need to know about their startup businesses. When they start up a business, you need to know that if you intend to sell, you need to keep accurate records, detailed records of all your client visits and what you did, and also how much you build and when you build it. And these things are very important if you ever intend to sell your company or to get investors. And so a lot of small startups, they fail to realize the importance of all of those little teeny documentation things that you need to be doing in order to be able to grow your business, and for banks to take you seriously, for you can get a loan, or you can get investors, or you could sell later on. And so my advice to anyone that's starting up their own business is keep accurate documentation, because when someone like me comes along and wants to invest or buy you out because you're looking to sell, then we're going to want accurate, detailed documentation. And this one guy, he didn't have very much of anything, and what he did have, he really didn't want to give up. And that's another thing you need to know if you're going to sell your business, is that you need to be willing to give basic information, but don't give away very much information without a non-disclosure agreement. And then once you've given basic information for them to decide if they're really interested or not, then you need to sign an intent to buy or intent to sell agreement, which then allows the buyer to have far more access to documentation and clients and all the behind the scenes things that are going on, in order to be able to draft a closing document in which the acquisition or sale has finalized. So I know a lot of people out there want to start their own business, and they intend to grow, and they intend to get investors, or they intend to have a startup and then sell it. But you need to realize that knowing where you're going is important to realize what you need to do in order to get there. And my company is over 10 years old now. Most corporations or startup companies don't make it that long. Most startup companies, I would say about 40% of startups close in their first year, and about 25% of the remaining close in their second year. And if you can make it past 5 years, then you have a really good chance of having a well-established company. It's just a matter of holding on long enough and being able to do it long enough and marketing it long enough to be able to have a company that grows on its own. So my business grew by 23% last year, and we did 0 advertising for new clients, and we did really no effort at all to acquire new clients. All the new clients and the growth that we got from last year, from 2018, was solely word of mouth of our current clients, talking to their friends and families and spreading the word. And when you get to that point, when you get to the point that your company starts growing on its own without you really trying, you're just doing the work, and you're just focusing on your clients, and you're just doing the best you can to do the best for your clients, your company will start to grow on its own. And when you get to the point that you're getting like 20 23% growth annually without even trying, you're there. You're finally going to make it if you keep going. But it's a matter of getting to that point. And it's taken 10 years of work for us to get to that point. And it's also taken several acquisitions of smaller companies than my own, merging it with my company. So, but we're finally there, that we are established enough that we're moving on, and we're growing every year, even though we're not really trying. And I know that buying another company is trying to grow, but it's not trying to grow in the way that most people realize of growth. They think they need to advertise and they need to market and that type of stuff to grow. And that's good, and there's a purpose for that. However, what most people don't realize is that with your business, it's like, picture a hill. And so as your company grows, it's growing and growing, and then it's going to peak. So right about here, you need to be planning your next jump. Because if you haven't jumped your company to the next level, by the time you get to the peak of your company, which is at the top of the hill, then your company is already dying. So you have to be thinking, when you're here, how do I get to here? And you have to be prepared to make that jump from here to here. And so every time I buy another company, I am making the jump from here to here to ensure that my company doesn't peak. Because if my company peaks, then we're dying as a company. And that's the way business works. So the thing to remember about big business and growing a big business is that success leaves clues. And if you're willing to learn from those that have already learned, then you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I didn't invent this status or this way of doing things or this mindset. It came from other people. I decided if I was going to own a business, I was going to know everything there is to know to running this business and growing this business, and how does a business become beyond just a mom and pop business. And so that's how I've gotten to where I'm at. So yes, very exciting. I'm all dressed up. My hair is combed. Rarely will you see it combed unless I have some kind of event to go to. I gotta wrap this up. I gotta get going. Oh my god, I got like 40 minutes to get over there. It's a 40-minute drive to go sign this document. And then 40 minutes back. Alright, y'all have a good evening or night or whatever, and I'm off to sign a document to grow my business some more.